Okay, now let's talk about, well, when Jefferson came into power, was he the wild-eyed radical that he had been portrayed as? And the answer is no. He did change the direction of the government a little bit, right? By some of the things that had happened during the Washington and Adams administrations, he will change direction on, right? So one thing that happened was that the Washington administration had raised excise taxes. Basically, the idea here was they raised taxes on produced goods, uh, and there was an argument about whether the federal government could actually raise taxes on goods. The way that it was thought to be was that the federal government could raise taxes on states, but not on individual goods, right? And the big example of this was the when you read in the book about the Whiskey Rebellion. That's what that was about. That they raised the excise tax on the production of whiskey in Western Pennsylvania, and the whiskey distillers rebelled and said they weren't going to pay the tax. At which point, then Washington raised an army and went and marched on Western Pennsylvania and put down the rebellion, and the federal excise taxes stayed. But now, when Jefferson comes into power, he's going to abolish them, okay? Because he says the federal government shouldn't have that much power. All right, you guys are with me? Questions, comments? Okay, then the next one: allow the Alien and Sedition Acts to expire. This has to do with foreign intervention in American politics. Does it sound familiar? Right? Okay. And the idea here is that, as you guys will recall, I mentioned that there was a conflict, major conflict between Britain and France, and both Britain and France were trying to get the United States on their side, and there were people in the United States that were in favor of both sides, right? If we looked at, for example, Adams had really seen France as the great enemy, and then we see Jefferson, who sees England as the great enemy, right? Okay, but what happened was that both of those countries tried to interfere in American politics, and the response of the Federalist administration, particularly Adams, was to prevent prevent. Well, there was a plan. The French had decided that what they were going to do was send a whole bunch of people to America to become citizens, so they could vote in favor of France. And so, to counteract that, the Alien Law was passed. The Alien Act basically said that in order to become an American citizen, you have to be here for 15 years. Okay, so that kept that kind of squashed that idea of the French taking over the American government basically from within. Okay, but the Democratic Republicans thought that this was a federal overreach, that the federal government shouldn't have that much power. And then the one that really rankled them was the Sedition Act, which basically said anybody that criticizes the president is guilty of sedition and can be thrown in jail and fined, right? And this was seen as a kind of almost like a monarchical measure, and that is going to expire during Jefferson's administration, because Jefferson doesn't think that the federal government should have that much power. All right, you guys are with me? Questions, comments about that?